2015 Dodge Charger. It needs a new oil pressure sensor. I'm going to give you some basic tips. So if you're doing an oil pressure sensor, this unit here, the oil cooler, that's what I'm replacing, because the other one that's in there is all plastic. So what we got here is aluminum. It's got the sensors on it. I got this whole unit together with the sensors in it. There's the gaskets for the intake and new bolts even. See the throttle body exposed and the intake exposed. All I did was remove that. These 3.6s, they're in Chrysler 300s, Dodge Chargers, Jeep Grand Cherokees. Just want to show you here. We got vacuum lines 1, 2, and 3. But before we get to the 7 bolts that are on the holding the plenum to the lower intake, we're going to move a nut here, and then a stud there. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 removed. Here's the third one. It's a stud. And I'm leaving this thing in here because there's a clip hooked to the back of it, and there's just no reason to move it, so I'm just going to leave it dangle there. I would say the first third of the work is done. So now I'm going to start disconnecting these connectors here to start taking out these bolts for this lower intake. Fuel line here that we got to take loose. Disconnected the ignition coils and moved the wires back up out of the way. See how clean that looks now? Now you don't have to disconnect the ignition coils. Really, you just need to disconnect the fuel injectors that are in the lower intake. The intake is removed. 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts there. They're 8 millimeters, and you can use a Torx bit. I don't know what size the Torx is that fits in there. I soaked up all this oil that's down here. Right, here's our new oil cooler versus our old one. Let's look at all these ports, make sure everything looks good. Everything looks nearly identical. Again, there's nothing wrong with this oil cooler, but if you're getting in there, and especially if you're doing this for somebody else, if you're doing this on your own vehicle, you know, screw it. But I'm telling you, this oil cooler kit, find it in the right place, you can get it for under $100. And that gives you both sensors, the cooler, everything. All right, as you can see, the cooler is actually aluminum to begin with. But you have aluminum, then you have brass, then you have steel, and then, you know, plastic. You have all these different parts, so they're all fluctuating it with the temperature changes. You know, you could just break this loose and crack this, you know, tighten it back down. You might have the same issue. It's just not worth it to get in there as far as we've gotten and not replace this. Let's get to the next step. Here's what they look like after it's all cleaned up. So you've seen all that crud on there. I just took a brake cleaner and sprayed it on a rag and wiped everything down. I torqued this down. There's 5 bolts. If you jump to the end, I'll put this torque sequence up for all these parts at the end. Put it up full mass so you can do a screenshot. This is 9 foot-pounds. So in inch-pounds is just under 9, but so we did 9 foot-pounds here. If you watch any of my other videos, I'm not the guy that's going to tell you torque it to this, torque it to that. You know, not everything needs this. But when you're doing these intakes, this is important. I want to show you what I'm doing here. I already removed all these gaskets, but I have this brush here and a rag. So I get into these areas here to get, you know, if there's any just a little bit of dirt and debris around the corners where the new gasket will seat. So I didn't put the gaskets on the bottom because I have it sitting like this. So I'm going to flip it over once I'm done with this side and put the gaskets on the bottom. Then put it in place. Once I have it sitting in place, then I'll put the gaskets on top. Okay, the lower intake is in, and this is 9 foot-pounds. So as I said, I installed these after I was done here. So now I'm just gonna put these connectors back on, hook the fuel line back up, and that's pretty much it to get this situated so I could bring the plenum over here and put that in place. You should probably watch another video if you want all the details on putting that plenum back and or basically the whole process. This was sort of just for some tips on here, but I'm gonna put up on your screen, as I said, the torque sequence and the spec.